Innovation has been an important part of human development ever since the beginning of time. And today, I want to talk to you about something that rhymes with innovation. It's called exaptation. Well, you've all heard about adaptation, right? If adaptation is developed by natural selection for its current use, then exaptation is the evolution of a trait, concept, or idea that becomes useful for another use than its current use and in a different context than its original context. Actually, this term, exaptation, has been first introduced by Gould and Verba in 1982 and has not yet been accepted by the literary world, so you won't find it in the dictionary. Feathers are perhaps the universal example of exaptation and one of the oldest on our planets. Back then, when our planet was inhabited by dinosaurs, they used to have feathers on their body, so they would stay warm. It was an instrument of thermoregulation. After this, it was an instrument of attracting opposite-sex species with their beautiful feathers of different shapes and colors. But when this cute thing appeared, the first bird, the original bird, called Archaeopteryx, the feathers were used for flying and gliding, so they got a new use. This is exaptation, feathers appearing on a bird's body for one purpose, but then serving another purpose. Now that we understood exaptation, let's get to some innovation stories. I have a riddle for you. What does a wine press and a book have in common? Does anybody know? Well, nothing more and nothing less than my favorite innovator of all time, Johannes Gutenberg. Gutenberg was an expert in metallurgy, but his many failed ideas and businesses led him to learning all kinds of information from all kinds of different areas. He became very curious about winemaking, and he started studying the mechanism called the screw press, or the wine press, which allowed pressure to be applied on a flat plane, so the grapes were transformed into juice and later into wine. So what did this genius guy do around 1440? He took everything he knew about metallurgy, everything he learned about winemaking and the screw press, the wine press, and transformed it into something new. So he invented the printing press, the first ever mechanism to produce books. This is exaptation, taking something that already exists and using it to solve a new problem in order to create innovation in another area. Stephen Johnson is a famous pop science writer, again one of my favorites, and a great innovation storyteller. So he creates a powerful visual for us. He says, imagine entering a dark room, just like this one, with matches in your hand. When you light the match, in this dark room, you can see that there is wood and a fireplace. Now, your match gets a whole new use in a whole new context. That's exaptation. Now, this is a very powerful image, by the way. I wanted to say something about innovation that first has one purpose and then a whole nother purpose. So, when Tim Berners-Lee invented World Wide Web in 1989, did you think he meant it for us to be watching this in a loop on the internet? For buying pajamas online? Or for starting revolutions online? That's exaptation. It leads to innovation. These are the first original sunglasses that appeared in China in the 12th century. Actually, they were not used for sun protection. The judges used to put them on their eyes because they wanted to hide their facial expressions while interviewing witnesses. Nowadays, it's all about sun protection and fashion to us. Okay, now I have a question to you. How many of you decided to wear jeans today? Can I see your hands, please? Wow, okay. Did you know that jeans were originally used by cowboys and miners in the California gold rush in USA, and they were invented by Levi's for this because they had a very high endurance to hard labor. Actually, they're called jeans because they come from Genoa, Italy. I've seen it. Many of you decided to wear jeans today, but I can bet there is not even one cowboy in this room, or not even one gold-digging miner. So now that we have defined exaptation and talked about some beautiful stories, let's get to the practical stuff. What are the instruments of exaptation? I propose to you some. First, the power of your hobbies. Another riddle for you. What does art school and poetry have in common? Well, this is my story. When I was a preschooler, my parents noticed that I liked to draw. So when I turned 8, they decided to enroll me into art school. Now, I come from the Republic of Moldova, so I went to Alexei Șusev Art School in Chișinău. It was a very good art school. It was an after-school course, but still it was quite complicated for an 8-year-old because I had to learn sculpture, picture, drawing, arts history, and all kinds of art subjects. So while the other 8-year-olds were out playing and having fun and enjoying life, I had to go to art school 3 times a week, 2 hours and a half a day, every day, for 4 years. So imagine this, my father pulling my hand, me crying with crocodile tears because I didn't want to go, and my father telling me, one day you will thank me for this. So after 4 years, it went on and on and on like this. And after 4 years, when I graduated, I said, I never want to have to do with arts again for the rest of my life. In my defense, I was 12. So I had other hobbies. I liked photography, I liked foreign languages, I wrote poems. My teacher encouraged me to publish my poems. So by the time I was 18, I published my first poem book. But I didn't want to be a writer. This was not my profession, right? So it was like an isolated victory to me. After that, I graduated high school, I moved to Bucharest to study journalism, but I didn't want to be a journalist either. So I started working in PR for a couple of years. And then one day, I got the idea. I'm calling it the idea because just like the Queen from Alice in Wonderland, why sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. So I decided to take something purely functional, like a lady's bag, and to add to it something that has purpose and meaning to me. This way, I could bring purpose and meaning to the world. So for me, books, culture, and promoting reading has purpose and meaning. So I decided to take an ordinary bag and to add to its structure, to innovate its design, and to add a special transparent pocket for your book. This way, first, your book is protected, because, ladies, we know, we have sharp objects in our bags, we have makeup in our bags, we have all kinds of lotions you don't want to know. And second of all, it is exposed to the world, so the book you are reading represents who you are, more than what you are and what you have. Why did I want to tell you my story? And this is Bookletta, by the way. Bookletta, people, Bookletta. I wanted to tell you that now I understand, after 4 years of producing and selling Bookletta, producing and selling innovation, I understand what all those things had in common. So art school, poetry, journalism, foreign languages, photography, now they are all equally important ingredients in my day-to-day work. And they are equally important ingredients in creating innovation. And Father, thank you. So to be more like a 5-year-old, let's stop being so serious. When we were 5, we were not scared of limitations. We were not scared of impossible things. We believed in wonderlands. We had superpowers. We used games to show our wishes and our fears. So sometimes I think we should channel the 5-year-old inside. So try to step out of your tired, boring, mortal, chicken adult body and go back into that playful mood. 3. Find your creative cafe, and this is not advertising to any coffee shop chain. It's a concept. While most of us tend to share their ideas with their closest people and with their family, scientists have proven that the most diverse and chaotic social interactions provide the best exaptation backgrounds. Once again, the most diverse and chaotic social interactions provide the best exaptation backgrounds. So your bubble may be comfortable, but it doesn't help you evolve. You know what is a creative cafe? Apple is a creative cafe. You know what else is a creative cafe? Freud's gatherings from Burgas number 19 in Vienna, where a group of people wrote all together the first pages of psychoanalysis. We can also talk about old Parisian restaurants like Les Deux Magots, where you could easily bump into Ernest Hemingway, Pablo Picasso, Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir just a few years ago. But why go so far away? We have our own Casa Capșa in Bucharest, one of the oldest and most elegant cafes, where a lot of Romanian history was born. They used to say, la Capșa, unde vin toți seniorii, local cu două mari despărțituri, într-una se mănâncă prăjituri și într-alta se mănâncă scriitorii. Number 4, be a slow multitasker. And again, this is a concept proposed to us by Steven Johnson, who is just brilliant. He says, while concentrating on one major idea is pretty smart, it will limit your creativity in the process of exaptation. So he says, it's even better to concentrate on one idea just for some hours or some days, and then leave all the other ideas spin in your head like ghosts until you tie them all together into a new concept with a new purpose. So in the end, don't forget that exaptation started in nature, but is now part of all innovation. Channel the inner 5-year-old, even when you feel like a boring mortal chicken adult. Try to remember that a good glass of wine helped Gutenberg invent the printing press and become one of the greatest innovators in the world. Use all the hobbies and all the know-how you can get, because one day it will all make sense in the greater puzzle of innovation. And finally, talk about your idea with the barista, with your babysitter, with your grandmother, with your children, and even with a nice lady talking in front of you at your TEDx event. Innovation has been an important part of human development, but today, most of all, I believe innovation is the lesson of our generation. Thank you.